Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the Full Melt
City
Show.
officials. The world's first marijuana mini mall is taking root in Trinidad. The group has the permits from the city, and it's just waiting on the final approval from City Council.
KRDO News Channel 13's Emily Allen went to Trinidad to see the space and talks to residents about this new way to shop for pot. She has a story you'll only see here.
We have just about every space here accounted for.
Chris Elkins wants to be the landlord for the marijuana industry.
We are facilitating the world's first pot mini mall. So the more tenants in the building, the merrier.
He and his partners decided Trinidad was the perfect place for their green dream.
This spot has a 0-foot setback. That's a regulation that allows for one dispensary to be next to another. As far as we know, this is the only town in Colorado that we can do this in. This is one of the floor plans that we worked with.
Developers tried to pack 17 stores inside.
This is something that hasn't really been done before.
But the city will only allow 5, and it'll be laid out like a strip mall.
We recognize that there's a serious problem in real estate with marijuana businesses. We are trying to facilitate that problem.
There are a lot of empty storefronts here on Commercial Street, and the developers of this mini pot mall hope that by bringing in new shops, it will drive business downtown and create more jobs.
I know what the industry can do for the town, and I know that the tourist traffic supports it.
Some residents are in favor.
I think it'd be good to bring more money into the town.
While others have concerns it will draw in more transients.
I just think it could be a problem in the long run because we are such a small town, and that could be a huge issue.
So while this mini mall isn't attracting customers quite yet, it's definitely attracting attention. In Trinidad, Emily Allen, KRDO News Channel 13.
And if all goes according to plan, developers are optimistic doors will open in April.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
It's the Full Melt.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
All right. Well, we're here for another show, and I gotta say, I happen to be looking forward to the weekend. It's always good to see the weekend coming, and I didn't even think. I was thinking today, we're supposed to have that Butters update, right? We always have the Butters update on Friday at the end of the show, the last maybe 10 minutes of the show. Butters is a goat. You know about Butters the goat. I hope you know about Butters the goat. Maybe not. I don't know. I think it's kind of funny that we follow Butters because, I don't know, there's something very dry about the CBD topic. I'm very interested in the CBD from the standpoint of, I guess, its therapeutic uses and its technical nature, its properties. From that standpoint, I'm very interested. But other than that, it's kind of, I mean, it's a flat note. It's a one-note subject, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't have, CBD is just that. It's just one of many cannabinoids. How could you shine any focus on just that? I mean, the only reason THC gets any consideration is because it's the big one that, it's psychoactive. Oh, God forbid, it's psychoactive. There are certain hot button topics or hot button words that people use. And they're scare tactics. They're what when they teach you about the English language and its impact, how you can use it most effectively. If you take any advanced English college courses, they'll tell you about how powerful the English language is. And so when you start using words, and I guess attorneys know this kind of thing, if you've got a contract, right? What are you doing when you're actually signing the contract? What do they call that? You're executing the contract, right? I mean, what a powerful word. And people like to use, really, you're just signing the contract. The agreement is being made, right? But the way that they would like to term it is we've executed the contract. And There are a great number of examples just like that about language. And so they use these powerful language terms. The prohibitionists have gotten pretty good at it. And I think when you start talking about things like THC and its psychoactive properties, it's a buzzword, really. I mean, really, isn't psychoactive just another way of saying it kind of messes you up a little bit? It could skew your thinking, or it's giving you a bit of a buzz. I mean, that's really all it is. I mean, alcohol certainly gives you what I would deem psychoactive effects once you've consumed too much of it. I mean, it's a poison, and the reason you're getting the effect is because of the body's reaction to that poison. I mean, that's what's happening in your body, this buzz that you get from alcohol. Marijuana, on the other hand, is actually used by your body because the cannabinoids in the cannabis are actually produced by your body for bodily functions on much smaller scales. So there's a good difference between alcohol and cannabis, just in its properties, right? But I think there are a number of other buzzwords that people use in prohibition speak or drug war speak that they use for scare tactic purposes. They're clearly nothing more than that. I mean, how much more of a scare tactic is this is your brain? This is your brain on drugs, and they're using the egg in the frying pan example. I mean, those aren't buzzwords, but they're conjuring an image of fried brain. I mean, those are the two terms they want you to pop into your head. That's the second time I've done that. Hang on a second. I've already managed to pull the cord out of my headphones twice on air since we've been on, all of 3 minutes? Okay, 7 minutes. And I've managed to pull it out twice. I tend to be expressive with my speech. So even sitting here talking into thine microphone, my hands are flailing about as if I was standing on a stage. And I don't know why. I'll tell you another side story maybe later in the show about that. But to sum up this idea about potent language, where do you get these other powerful terms? Law enforcement certainly uses them. It's really easy if you can get somebody to swallow the idea that, let's just say you can ascribe a property to the color pink besides its actual color. Maybe pink is always associated with danger. Pink means danger. Pink equals danger. It really doesn't, but if you can get people to believe that pink equals danger, then every time they see pink, they'll avoid it. Because so far they've got no reason, I guess, not to believe you, other than it's kind of unbelievable that pink means danger. But this is kind of the same kind of language that they use in that the prohibitionists in general use in trying to prop up the drug war, because it's an effective tool. If you can get people to believe by just putting it on a list, say, for example, like President Richard Nixon did back in, 1970-71, when he passed the Controlled Substances Act and placed marijuana up there on number one, the most dangerous. Right? He put on a list that labeled it dangerous, and it has no legitimate medical use, and it's got a high propensity for addiction. Right? I mean, this is what they put it up there with. Now, let's see. I could think of something that's maybe on par with, Xanax is a good thing. So Xanax is a it's a benzoid. And so it's a relaxer. It's like a muscle relaxer. I don't take pills. I've taken a Xanax before. I've had that opportunity. I don't remember when a doctor prescribed them to me for some kind of anxiety or something. I don't like taking pills. I don't. But cannabis, I could equate on that level with, say, something like Xanax. Now, Xanax is highly addictive, by the way. if you start taking Xanax and you take it for too long and you stop taking it, you're gonna notice that you're not taking it anymore. In fact, I think when I was a kid, it wasn't Xanax, it was something else like it. What was it? When I was younger, way younger. I can't remember what it was. It was something very similar to Xanax. Maybe it was. I don't know. I was taking them for a little while, and boy, when I stopped taking them, I noticed it. Like I knew that I had developed a physical need for this medication. Anyways, I'm getting way off topic here. Way asunder. Let's reel it back in. Potent words. So if you can get people to believe that cannabis is dangerous by putting it on a list, and like I said, I started to equate cannabis with Xanax. I think, aside from the fact that I'm just talking about from effect, from a standpoint of effect. Maybe it's a bad analogy, I suppose. But it's certainly not. I mean, to me, alcohol is way worse than something like Xanax or something like, which Xanax is, used regularly. Like I said, will cause dependence. Cannabis doesn't have this property, so it is a bad example. But what I was just looking from the terms of effect. People don't go jumping off buildings or making terrible decisions because they took a Xanax. It doesn't happen. See, nobody came by and labeled Xanax up there in that dangerous drug category. It's not. It's down there on the much lower on the schedule. Xanax is like a 5 or a 4 or something on the schedule, almost off the schedule, right? Like Xanax is one of those things that if it didn't actually have an addictive property, they probably would make it over-the-counter available because so many people take it anyways. My point is just that, though. You've got this pharmaceutical drug that actually is addictive that people take routinely by prescription. All the time, people take Xanax. But it's got a legitimate medical use. It's manufactured by a pharmaceutical company. FDA approves it. It's been through clinical trials. Everybody's signed off on it. People are using it all the time. I would suggest people are taking Xanax and driving all day long. I would not suggest that that's a good idea at all. I would not suggest that you take anything that is going to, impair your ability to function properly and operate heavy equipment or an automobile. It's just foolish nonsense. But there's a difference between labeling somebody in that capacity, even though the actuality of it isn't true. And so it's easy to scare people with these tricks, these techniques. And once you're afraid of something, boy, you can demonize it really easily. And then nobody wants to talk about it. It's a redheaded stepchild. More about cannabis, some amazing information coming out of Vermont today. We'll talk about this crazy story next.
You're getting the full melt.
When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. Based in Royal Oak, David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release. We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Canalock.com. Visit Canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki,
Sacred Elements.
raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dort Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
Surprise, motherfucker.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
Surprise! Hey, I was talking earlier this week with somebody about this idea about the Thai stick, the legendary Thai stick. And by the way, if you want to chime in about Thai stick, give us a call, 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK. So we'll buttonhole that for a minute, see if anybody wants to call about the Thai stick. Because I've heard so many stories about what is Thai stick and what isn't Thai stick. And to me, it's one of those things. It's like, what is it? It's like a fable, right? It's not quite a fable because there actually was something called Thai stick. The question is, what was real Thai stick, and what form did it come in, and what comprised it? What was it made of? How did it? Give me the scoop. Give me the skinny. Give me a feel for what this is. If you know what it is, if you're sure what it is, maybe if you're not sure, maybe this is just what the image you've got in your head. Maybe this is what you were told about. Maybe you saw some image in a book somewhere. Tell me what Thai stick is. 844-420-8255. I'm Steve Green. This is the Full Melt Show. You'll hear us here Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can find us really easy to subscribe on iTunes. Go to thefullmelt.com, click on the icon, and subscribe. It's just that easy. Also, we got some Full Melt apps recently released in the App Store and in the Google Play Store. Just go to either one of those stores. If you've got the Android or the iOS platform, either one. Go to your respective platforms and just Google or just type in your search bar there. Just Google it, I said. The Full Melt Show, or it's sometimes just Full Melt. Just do Full Melt. If you don't see our logo, the melting logo that says Full Melt, type The Full Melt or The Full Melt Show. Either way, it'll pop right up at the top there. Promise you. Nobody else has got that name, I think. I don't know. I thought it kind of pointed to, it's got some double entendre attached. Did I use too big a language? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm over-talking people. Sometimes I feel like I'm under-talking. I don't know. It's a roller coaster. Double entendre. So that's like the word dick. Used with double entendre means it's got more than one meaning. In this case, it would indicate two meanings. There's probably more than two meanings for the word dick. One is a proper noun, a name. One is slang for jerk or slang for, genitals. I mean, there's a way there. It's double entendre. The show name has some double entendre in it. Go and figure. Discuss. So I was telling you earlier that when we came back from the break, we'd talk about this thing that happened in Vermont. Now, I gotta say that if you're one of these people that has been ever harassed by police over pot, especially if you were growing, I mean, if you get caught with pot, it's bad enough because you're probably stoned, maybe not, might be. I don't know. It's just precarious. Anytime if you get caught with pot by the po-po, right? So that's unsettling enough. But, not the end of the world. You got caught with a little pot, assuming that it's a little. I mean, pretty much you're not getting ground through the system for that. Unless you got something else going on and they want to use that to grill you for that. That's a whole other story. So when you get caught with a little pot, that's one thing. But if you're growing, boy, you're sweating it out now. Because it's a whole different set. You're riding a different horse now. A whole different horse. Before you were on this, it was just the little thing that you put the quarter in when you're out in front of the big box store, the supermarket, or inside the big box store. And they got the little kids play area with the video games. You got the little thing where you put the quarter in and you ride it. That's the version you get with the law when when you get caught smoking a doobie out behind the dumpster. But when you're growing, see, now you're on a Budweiser horse, right? Or perhaps even on a stallion that hasn't been broken. That might be a better analogy. An unbroken stallion. So, it's funny that this story in Vermont, which I think it came out yesterday. I think it came out late yesterday. Trying to pull it up here. It's being evasive. It's one of those evasive things. I might as well do the Google Top 10. But while I'm looking for that story, I'll give you the Google Top 10. Really, here's the top 10. I think it's 10. Well, it's the top Google stories on cannabis or marijuana today, which is a Friday. What is it, the 16th, 15th? What is it, the 16th? It's the 16th already. Good Lord. Assuming this is number 10. Massachusetts senator shows he's clueless about marijuana during Colorado visit. I think that's the high time story where the guy's like, okay, these guys are from another state. See, I'm getting way off subject. I can't talk about this too much. That's the story where the guys are from out of state. They're from, I think, Massachusetts or the Boston area. They're legislators. And they've gone off to do their studying in Colorado. Hey, we're going to charge this off to Public Works and call it, taxpayers got to pay for this because we're studying, right? We're learning about marijuana. We're going to go to Colorado, book us a plane. Cindy, do it. No, there's 3 of us going. So they go off there to Colorado, and they're inside a dispensary in front of reporters and stuff, and they're standing there in suits and ties, and the guy's leaning over, looking, he's got his hand on a big jar of ganja, and he's looking at the guy, and he's like, so do I roll this? That's the number 10 story. Ohio lawmakers to form medical marijuana task force. That is an interesting one. That would be number 9. Number 8, what conditions qualify for medical marijuana treatment in New York? That's an interesting question. Number 7, medical marijuana gets another shot. That's out in the West, KUTV. This is in Utah. Morrow man pleads guilty to child endangerment trafficking marijuana. That's at WLWT in Cincinnati. Officers find nearly 2,500 pounds of marijuana hidden in a carrot shipment. I saw that the other day. I mean, literally, they took plastic bags that were in the shapes of and had printed. They were big. They were like extra large. If it was a carrot, it was just the most humongous carrot. Like they were behemoth, gigantoid carrots. I don't even know where you would grow a carrot this big. I'm sure they exist. Maybe not that big, but these are big, like round tubed plastic bags, large ones, stuffed with pot. They're orange with green at the other end. It looks like when you bag some weed in there and stack it all up, it looks like a pallet of carrots, especially underneath all that plastic and stuff. But somebody ripped it open and found their weed. 2,500 pounds of it. 2,817 carrot-shaped packages of marijuana hidden amongst the bags of carrots. Number 6, group plans to lobby for decriminalization of marijuana. Number 5, Morrow man admits to home marijuana grow op. I think that's also a duplicate story. Number 4, what is synthetic marijuana? Number 3, it's actually number 1. Synthetic marijuana caused Chandler Jones's hospitalization. That is a whole other story, and I don't know. He's a Patriots guy. Actually, I can tell you what that story is briefly, and I didn't see the story in there that I was looking for. What happened? This guy had gone to the hospital after doing some crazy stuff out in front of the police station, and he said he'd smoked some synthetic marijuana, but it's been speculated, according to this Chandler Jones guy, that this other guy. No, I'm sorry, not that. Who's this other guy? There's this other guy that I can't remember his name now. I'm not a sports guy. Anyways, this other guy was mouthing off saying that he doesn't think, and actually his thinking on this follows through, that the sports figure, instead of smoking synthetic marijuana, which is what he claimed or what was being, maintained in a public way, he apologized, said I did a stupid thing. I mean, you can get away with using marijuana as long as you don't test negative during the preseason, during practice. The whole season long, you can use your pot, and nobody knows because you're not dropping, because you're not required to, because according to your stupid agreement with the union, your union agreement with the NFL. So why you got to be smoking synthetic pot anyways? You know why? Because this guy is saying that he wasn't smoking synthetic marijuana, which is like potpourri sprayed with some chemicals. In this instance, he claims that he was smoking what people call on the street wet. And wet is what they talk about a marijuana joint or a cigarette dipped in, what was it, pencyclidine? It's PCP. Yeah, that's not a good. They also they also put it in. Well, I think wet actually is. I take that back. I think I misspoke. Wet is when they dip it in. It's a formaldehyde type solution. I don't know anybody who'd. I mean, that's I think what they call wet. And then in this instance, they're claiming it was laced with PCP. I don't think they put any kind of powder in there. I think it was dipped. I think they call that a dip. I don't know. I've never done anything that stupid. The cannabis by itself is good enough for me. I don't need anything added to it. That's for sure. Especially of the. I don't know. I don't even know where do they get PCP from. I've never looked up the origin of PCP. All right. So where did this story go? It was actually different earlier today when I saw the story pop up. It's in Vermont. I'm just going to Google it. Vermont. Oh, man. Oh, you know what? I think I saw this. I think I saw it here. Here we go. I noticed there were some comments that came. Here we go. This is the story. I found it. I'll just give you the brief rundown on it because it's kind of short, but it's pretty funny. Where did this come out of? It's not saying. There's no date line on it. It's dated January 11th. The man this is from CannaSOS.com. The man was allegedly driving a farm tractor that he used to run over 8 vehicles in the parking lot of a Vermont police station. Police officials claim that this was in an apparent revenge scheme. Police have pinned the vandalism on Roger Payan, 34 of Newport. The incident took place at the Orleans County Sheriff's Department in Derby around 12:40 p.m. We came out and sure enough, there was someone who had run over our cruisers with a tractor trailer. I think there's actually some video of this. Let me see if I can play this because it might be better if I just played this story for you. I don't know who to credit this to, honestly. I'm hoping that this isn't just some images and some text. I'll be mad if it is. We'll see. Here we go. Oh man, no, it's actually just silent video. Yeah, it does. The image in this picture does it no justice. I'm killing you. Let me tell you the rest of the story. We came out and sure enough, there was someone who had run over our cruisers with a tractor, Chief Deputy Philip Brooks of the Orleans County Sheriff's Department said in an interview with local WCAX. Officers claimed that, quote, the radios are ruined, the radar detectors, the cages in the cars. We're going to have to get the jaws of life up here just to pry open the trunks and see about the rifles and shotguns. How did he get away with it, at least for a little while? Police claim that because he crushed all of their vehicles, they were unable to pursue Payan after he drove away in the tractor. Some of its newest vehicles were only 4 months old, according to cops. They say that this constituted the destruction of the majority of their vehicles. It felt like I was in a Monster Jam rally or something. One eyewitness, Renee Morris, told local WCAX, I just couldn't believe it. He's backing up. He's going over it, turns around, makes his way to the other vehicles, smashes those up, did his business, and then headed right down Route 5. Payan had recently been arrested and charged for possession of marijuana. The damage is said to be around $250,000, according to police, but no one was injured. We have other county sheriff's departments who are offering cruisers to us, Brooks explained. We've already had one county that's dropped one off to us, and we've got 2 others that are on the way. That is my favorite story so far of this year. It didn't even say he was growing weed. It just said he was being punished or being prosecuted or at least charged with possession. It's simple possession. And it made him so mad. He went on a rampage. Take my weed away, you bastard rats. And he comes rolling up the freeway with his, or the side road or whatever, with his tractor from his farm. What's funnier to me is that not only did he have the balls, the cojones, to get away with this or to do it or to think about conceive it and then climb in the tractor and actually head for the police station. But the cops came out, and all they saw was a tractor driving away, and all their vehicles flattened like pancakes. Oh, I'll bet you somebody ruined their shorts that day. Oh, that's just too funny. That's just priceless. So what I told you before, when we're gonna have to do it after the break because I don't think we have time to do it during the break. Oh, that's just my funny bone is tickled ripe now. Like it's sensitive. Like I can't laugh again because I'll start laughing into that again because it's so funny, and it hurts to talk, let alone laugh. I've got this terrible cold thing. It's wrapped a hold of my vocal cords and also other parts of my throat, and it's just refusing to let go. It's probably because I continue to strain my voice every day. That's what the doctor is going to tell me, I'm sure. In any event, I can't laugh. Don't make me look at it because it's just too funny. There was a lot of Facebook comments and posts around because I posted that online. And there were people, including attorneys, talking about it. One guy says, that sounds like something I do. And his attorney goes, your attorney wouldn't let you. Oh, that's pretty funny. So I got to put out the call again because I was busy looking at that story and paying attention to other stuff. So I didn't see if calls were coming in. 844-420-TALK. I want to know what you know about Thai stick. What is Thai stick? Have you ever tried Thai stick? Where did you try the Thai stick? Where did you see the Thai stick? And if you didn't have a chance to try it or see it yourself, who told you about the Thai stick? Where did you learn about the TS? What does the word Thai stick mean to you? To me, this is a word game. We'll pick them apart after the break, which is coming up right now on the Full Melt Show. You're getting the Full Melt.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release. We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
At book club, they were asking me what you're doing now, Janice.
Blogging. Your blog is just pictures of you in a mirror.
It's called a fashion blog, Todd. Well, I've been helping people save money with Progressive's discounts. Flo, can you get Janice a job?
You should have stuck to softball. I was so much better at softball than Jan is dead.
Where's your wife, Todd?
Vacation.
Discounts like homeowners, multi-policy. I got a discount on this ham.
I've got the meat sweats. It's good ham, Diane.
Paperless discounts. Give it a rest, Flo.
Yeah, Flo, give it a rest.
We ask people to tell us something that happened in their past and something that might happen in their future. The good things were put on yellow magnets and the bad ones on blue. The results show the past was a pretty even mix of good and bad, yet the future was almost all good things. Now that you've seen the results of this experiment, what does it mean to you?
We all want to think about positive stuff.
Realistically, there will be down times.
It's great to think optimistically, but let's plan for whatever the future might bring.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
All right, so we're talking about Thai stick, right? And to me, I think if I've seen Thai stick before in a book, right? And when I saw Thai stick, it was this thing. It was just kind of a lump. And the best thing that I could maybe compare about the way that the Thai stick looked in the picture that I saw, and I have no recollection of where the picture came from. It was in some publication somewhere. I thought it was a fascinating topic. I was probably in a library somewhere, and I looked it up. And it explained at the time what it was, but the picture was kind of weird to me. The best way I can describe it is like, you know how they make God's eyes, where they take like popsicle sticks and they glue them together, and then they wrap yarn around them, and so they glue them together in an X pattern. And they start in the middle, they tie a piece of yarn, and they just kind of weave the yarn around the sticks in a pattern. And it turns into this, kind of cool-looking thing, and they call it a God's eye. This is one version of that. I'm sure there are more versions of that, so I don't want to get emails and, texts about that for oh, no, that's not what that is. You said it all wrong. That's the best way I could describe it, because it's a stick with this lump in the middle, and it looks like it was like mummified. Like it's brown, and it's got something wrapped around it. And that's all I could tell from the image that I saw. But then I started reading into it and asking questions about it and kind of researching it a little more, especially even more recently, where there's maybe some more information about this available. And I tell you, if you Google it, and I have, if you Google Thai stick, and now there's a Wikipedia definition of it. There are other definitions of it. Well, not, I think there are other renditions, versions of what Thai stick is, but that's a much better way to put it. But I want to know from you, 844-420-TALK, if you had a chance or any experience with Thai stick, or if it's just legend, what was the legend that you heard? Because I think if I were to ask 8 out of 10, I think what you would call potheads about what is Thai stick, I think 8 out of 10 of them would probably give me this version of what Thai stick is. It's a certain kind of marijuana cannabis bud that is tied to a stem. It's tied to this stick. And that's all they could really tell you about it. Now, what would be the purpose and intention of taking a cannabis bud and tying it to a stick? Right? What would be the purpose behind that? Well, I think a logical conclusion could be drawn if you just pondered it for a while. Perhaps if they were using cannabis oil or, extract, that perhaps they were taking, because that extract is really thick, that the best way to coat, without getting it all over yourself and everywhere else, the cannabis bud with this wax would be to dip it into the oil, this very thick, maybe get it runny first, maybe get it warm so it's thinner, and dip it in there on the stick, and then hang the stick on a rack. And now it's got a place to drip, and you can collect the drips. And now that seems to me to be a better version of why you would want to tie the bud to a stick. Now, you would think that it would also depend on where you, if you in your head, if you pondered what that looks like, I mean, most people would place that bud in the middle of the stick, like right there in the center. And I don't think that if that's the version of what Thai stick is true, then, where you're dipping it like that. That's the reason you're putting it on the stick, is so that it'll get it all everywhere else. Just it's on the stick. You dip the stick. It's like making a sucker. You're not trying to get the sucker part on the rest of the stick. You just want it on the end of the stick. The candy's on the end of the stick, right? You don't want it everywhere else, because you're not going to smoke that stem, that big, that stick. You're going to smoke the bud. So you just want it on there. Otherwise, you're wasting it, right? That would make sense to me, that it's not in the middle, it's at the end, like a lollipop, if that's what the version of Thai stick is. And my common sense points me away from that. But I've got a linguistic bias that points me away. So if you think about now, it's not called a tie stick, and it's not a tie stick, and you spelled TIE dash stick, right? It's called a THAI stick, right? So so it comes from Thailand. So I think that's where the name came from, tie stick. But I don't think it had anything to do in its original form with a cannabis bud being tied to a stick. I think people have confused the term because it's easy to do given the region and its similarity. It's double entendre, as it were, right? It's not TIE, it's THAI. So it refers to region. And so I can buy the story that perhaps tie stick is a form of cannabis that was, because of the region and the area and the volcanic soil and the long growing season, they developed through selective breeding in Thailand, right? A potent version that people clamored for, and so it got its fame. It got its notoriety from that region and from that name, right? I don't think it had anything to do with being tied to a stick. But I think as people heard it and wanted to either profit, and they started making their own versions of what tie stick was and selling it as tie stick, I think that's what you got. I think that if you look at the truth of it, if you really research it and you talk to the people who were in the know in the day and the people that in the 60s and 70s that were actually getting tie stick, because I don't think you can get it anymore. I think it's something a thing of the past. I think the cultural and laws in the area of the region were very probably even more intolerant of cannabis and other drugs than even the oppressed nature of our own country here in the United States. And so I think they didn't allow for it. I think it's something that's fallen out of popular culture and therefore maybe even might be permanently gone if tie stick was a strain of cannabis that came from the region. I don't think it's something that is available anymore. I think it's been lost. And I think the version of tie stick that I'm familiar with, that I know of from a research standpoint, is cannabis. And somebody told me this most recently. And it's the one that makes the most sense to me. And I just believe this version, that it may be a regional form of potent cannabis, but it's not hash oil or cannabis concentrate that it's been dipped in or mixed with. In fact, it's opium, raw opium, which is very sticky and extremely fragrant. I mean, wow. I remember getting some opium in the early 90s or the late 80s. Just some raw opium in a cellophane. Just a little bit of it. It's black. It was like black, putty. Sticky, though. And you opened up that cigarette cellophane and it wafted out at you like you just walked into the Roman gardens. I mean, wow. It just pops you right in the face. The smell is just... I think I was enamored with that fragrance more than I was with the actual smoking of that opium, which I tried, but I mean, I didn't, to me it was like a little bit of weed, but I didn't, I'm glad I didn't mess with it because at the time I didn't know that it was, I didn't make the opioid connection yet. I didn't realize that it was, in that listed category of drugs that is, physically addictive. Will make you very sick if you do without it, if you do it too much. I only had that little bit, but I remember being very fragrant. And so this sticky resin of opium, called the opium poppy, which is raw opium, from which they derive heroin and other opioids, is mixed with this it's more percentage of the Thai weed and less percentage of the opium resin, but it's mixed together. It's rolled, it's palmed, so much like they used to make hashish in the old days. They'd take the fresh cannabis. They'd take the live resin off the plant as it's still sticky, not the dried trichomes. The live resin, they take it off the plant and they just roll it in their hands and let the oils in their skin form a barrier on it until it just kept working it and working it and working it, working it, working it. I mean, working it for a long period of time until they got this that oil from their skins actually creates a barrier on the hashish that keeps it from spoiling, during transit. That's why they worked it for a long period of time to get that oil on there. But my point being is that much like they worked this kind of thing, I think they worked this. My version of what I think Thai stick is they've worked this cannabis bud in with this resin and rolled it in their hands until you ended up with what looked like a stick. And so I've heard versions of people that said they had Thai stick and it was this black stick. That's all it was a stick. It wasn't anything tied to a stick. So I think people came along later and said, I got some Thai stick. And they made this and sold it to somebody as Thai stick. And it wasn't it at all. It was like fake Thai stick. It was like pseudo Thai stick. This is like a black beef jerky, like a black, what do they call it? Slim Jim. But instead of dried meat, you've got dried opium resin mixed with some very high potency cannabis. It traveled well. It didn't look like weed. It smelled fragrant. It didn't smell like weed. It smelled like flowers. It smelled like, very perfumey. So it was probably easy to conceal, and I think that's probably why they did it. It was both potent. You break a little piece off, you put it on in a bowl, and you smoke it, and that's all you need. Boof, 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 gone. That's what I think the Thai stick is. Look it up. You'll find a bunch of references to the opium and the raw opium resin. But I don't think it had anything to do with tying a bud to a stick. I think all that's fallacy. I think all that's myth. I wonder who I could bring on the show that would have actual knowledge of that stuff. Because if you look it up, it's really vague. There's not a lot of information about what real Thai stick was. I mean, Wikipedia is not a good source because you get a lot of these people that are just editing it themselves. Hey, this is my version of what Thai stick is. And it's, it's not really vetted out. There are no references to something that's part of the black market. Like, here's a credit. They can't credit him because he's a criminal. You can't credit a criminal in the Wikipedia. So there's no way to reference it. We'll be back on the other side with other cannabis news stories coming up on the program next.
You're getting the full melt.
Promotional consideration provided by NoSmell.com, pioneering the storage market for cannabis users. The NoSmell patented bag technology offers users 100% smell-proof detection from even the most sophisticated of noses. NoSmell.com, so nobody knows. When placing your order for a no-smell bag, make sure to use discount code FULLMELT and take 10% off the entire order. Learn more about no-smell technology at nosmell.com.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed, eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road, take care when passing, and always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. Based in Royal Oak, David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit PetPain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. PetPain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
I was only walking through your neighborhood.
So what does cannabis mean to you? I mean, I know what it means to me. I know what it doesn't mean to me. But that really doesn't matter in the longer scheme of things, does it? The larger scheme of things requires all consideration, all things taken into account. What is cannabis to you? To me, I think it's to me it's a gear shifter. Number one, I'm a very high-strung, outspoken person. Duh. And so sometimes at the end of the day, I'll find it difficult to shift out of that gear so that I might have some respite from that positioning. Running in that gear for too long is not only taxing, but probably not good for you. And so sometimes it's hard to get the transmission to shift out of that gear for me later in the day. And so cannabis for me is the catalyst to that achievement. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that I noticed that I liked as a useful property of cannabis, aside from its overrated high. Honestly, I don't know what the ballyhoo is about. It's really much to do about nothing. Now, for those who first try it, that might be a different story. For those that first dabble with cannabis, you know, it's gonna kind of rock your world a little bit. It's not gonna, you know, it might make you. It depends on the kind you get, and it depends on how much you do. It depends on the way you do it. But assuming it's average, you know, it's going to make you giggle. It's probably going to make you hungry. It may make you tired. It may make you want to go, you know what? I'll catch you guys later. I'm going to crash for a few. And you'll take yourself a little 20-minute nap, wake back up, and probably go for the fridge. I mean, that's it. That's the worst that can happen on a night with a joint, really, honestly. Now, you start talking about alcohol. You see, that's like the recreational pastime of America is alcohol. It conjures up a much different situation, doesn't it? Now, responsible use of alcohol may be a very similar view. But abuse of alcohol, where you're drinking, you know, a case or a whole bottle of something yourself, especially if maybe nobody knows, like you did it when nobody was looking, so nobody could guess. So stupid. You know, that's a whole different scenario, isn't it? I mean, all kinds of danger afoot there. Everything from alcohol poisoning, where you end up at the hospital because you were going to die because you had too much booze. You poisoned yourself with booze. There's that. Yeah, that'll never, ever happen with cannabis, by the way. I don't care if it's your first time or if it's your 100,000th time. That will never happen, ever. There will never be a danger of you consuming too much cannabis. You know, the worst that can happen is you'll go to sleep. It doesn't affect your breathing. It doesn't affect your heart rate. Sometimes it just affects your eyelids and your hunger factor. That's it. The thing with alcohol is it makes people make bad decisions. I don't see that happening with cannabis. My decision making isn't influenced by cannabis whatsoever. It really is not. I mean, I'm a clear, straightforward thinker, despite the use or non-use of that particular substance to really any degree. I think the only alteration that might happen to my decision making might be that because I consumed some cannabis, I might choose not to drive somewhere. I might say, you know what, it's not a good idea for me to drive right now. I mean, it's quite apparent to me, and you don't argue at that point. You know that's the situation, and so you're quite ardent in expounding it, at saying it to people, telling people, "No, I'm not driving. We need to find somebody else. I'm not doing it. I'm too stoned." People who drink alcohol are like, "Give me the keys. I know what I'm doing. I'm not too drunk to drive." Crash. I mean, it makes you delusional to that point. It makes you argumentative. It makes you Superman. Weed doesn't do that to you. It makes you super hungry. So, that being said, I think I'm just trying to conjure up about what is cannabis to you. I do this because I think this underlies the show, this subject. It obviously does, and so I have to think about it from the standpoint of what does it mean to other people. Other people their perception of this issue may be vastly different than mine. Even though the reality remains the same, their perception and my perception of that reality may be completely different things. They may have had some, post-traumatic stress disorder caused by their use of cannabis at an early age. Perhaps they got a little bit too much. It will make you highly uncomfortable if you get too stoned. It's like, it's way too high. I got it in the first day. I can tell you the first thing that'll fix that is eat something. Go find something heavy to put in your stomach. It'll suck that right out of you. Or do that and then go take a nap. That'll suck it right out of you too. It'll knock it right off. I'm not talking, you're not going to be sleeping for several hours, or just a little nap, a little 20-minute, half-hour nap. Oh, I feel a lot better now. Oh, man, I was too stoned earlier. It doesn't happen with alcohol. Alcohol degrades, I think there's something about cannabis that degrades very quickly when you go to sleep. I think its effects are greatly reduced somehow in the sleep cycle. I don't, maybe the actual substance is being processed by the body at a higher rate because less function is happening. Maybe there's more resources to contribute towards that function. But it seems to me that if you got stoned and stayed stoned and stayed awake, and took the same amount of the same kind another day, and went to sleep, took a nap, the version without taking the nap, you'd still be stoned on the timeline at the same point as after the person took a nap. In the other timeline, where after they took the nap, they wouldn't be so much stoned anymore. They'd be much less affected by the substance in an active way. There's something about sleeping that makes it go away. So the perception, though, might be different for you if you had a bad experience as a youngster, or maybe even not as a youngster. Maybe as your bad experience was older. Maybe you used to use cannabis regularly when you were younger and then didn't realize that coming back to it later after having not used it for a very long period of time, it might be different. Some people have done that. I've done that myself. Done without the cannabis for several months or whatever, a period of time, and then came back to it and went, whoa, I'm way too stoned. Way too uncomfortable. And I could see how that would be frightening to somebody that wasn't expecting or didn't understand that or didn't know about the other, oh, God, what's going to happen now? My heart's going to race and it's going to explode. No, nothing like that's going to happen. It's not going on. You might get more worked up about what you're thinking about than what's actually happening. I mean, that's the worst of it. So I often want to ponder these kind of things, I think, just internally and maybe sometimes verbalize it, because I think it's important to have a perspective about that subject if I'm going to be talking to people who have a different version of that in their heads than I do. And I would suggest that that's probably more people than not. I think my version of cannabis is a common theme, but I don't think it's the only theme, and I don't think it's the predominant theme of people's perception of this subject, especially when you start mixing in the entire population. Right now, I'm only considering those people that I already considered to be in the cannabis community. Like, they're not virgins. Like, at some point in time, they smoked some pot for a little while. Or they lived in a college, dorm with people that smoked a little weed here and there. I mean, even if you didn't, that only happened then, I would still consider you in the cannabis community, because at least you've got some foundation, some experience on which you can position opinion instead of somebody else's droned, fear-based, executionary language about what pot should be in your mind, even though you have no idea and makes you afraid nonetheless.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.